Peace and blessings, everyone. Welcome to Spotlight. I'm Reggie Wenka, and of course, we have another great show for you this evening. Of course, Sean Rose with the stories making headlines, Rotary District Governor Vance Lewis and District Conference Coordinator David Archer talking about philanthropy and upcoming district conference. And of course, for our African Descendants History Month, we're going to be discussing the settlement, the Africans who were liberated after emancipation and settled at Kingston, and who they were and what that means. She just published a new book called Can These Stones Talk? And in that book, she outlines the whole history of the liberated Africans that settled in Kingston. So we're going to have an interesting discussion about what that meant to the Virgin Islands and how the culture of those Africans impacted and influenced the post-plantation era. So you can make sure you keep it locked to Spotlight. We're going to go right to Sean and see what the stories are making headlines. Sean, talk to us about what stories are making the news, the top stories making the news this week.
Good evening, viewers. It's good to be here again, Cromwell. Well, this week we're going to look at the Brandywine Bay area. Government has announced plans to move ahead with the much anticipated Brandywine Bay Beach Development Project. Speaking on February 13, Deputy Premier Dr. Kedrick Pickering said that so far they have already ironed out some of the issues in relation to land ownership. He says that they are moving ahead with the plans, and this will involve moving the road as it is now. He also indicated that they will have to sort out some issues in relation to two of the families. In fact, there are 5 families there, and they'll have to iron out issues with 2 of the families who have not yet had their monies for lands owed since the road was actually constructed between where they live now and the beach area.
So where are they planning to put the roads, Sean? It seems there's a very limited space there to put the roads. I suspect that the challenge will be traffic going in and out of the beach.
That's right. And Dr. Pickering, he gave 2 proposals that he says came from the government survey team. He said that one suggestion is to cut a road in what he described as the Kingston area. That's where Panchi lives, going up on over that hill and making its way all around to connect with the road after you pass the beach area in Brandywine Bay. And the second proposal is to start somewhere in the area of Sophie Bay Hill and also make its way to the back of the houses as they are now and connect with the road, the existing road, after you get to the top of the hill passing through Brandywine Bay.
Well, it's customary that we have public consultations when we engage in these major projects, so I expect they will be coming to the public, but it seems like it's a done deal because they have already negotiated for land with some of the landowners in that area.
Well, that's quite interesting because the Deputy Premier said that the plans are not cast in stone and they will have consultations. However, the fact that they have already gone ahead and bought the lands speaks to the fact that yes, they are actually moving ahead with the plans to develop the beach area. And there is some opposition to the project on the basis that it appears not to be well thought out by the government. We should bear in mind that Dr. Pickering has been the point man on several mega projects in the territory. The Tibby-Lettsome International Airport, establishing fishing as the 3rd pillar, projects on Anegada, a number of projects really.
Yeah, a whole host of things. A golf course, as you say, agriculture.
There you go.
Yeah, so
plans to brand Anegada lobster, brand pumpkin soup.
It's a lot going on with in the Ministry of Natural Resources and Labor. So that's quite interesting. There's a lot they're biting off there. Now this is really, I mean, I've long waited for the day when we would have a nice facility in Brandywine Bay where you can go and relax and have concessions and have nice places to change your clothes and relax with your family and all that kind of stuff.
Yes.
It's going to cost a lot of money.
Well, definitely.
And money seems to be in short supply these days. What is there any indication of how it's going to be financed?
Well, Edgewanka, the government's hands are already failed and probably overflowing, some would say, in terms of the projects, and we just listed a few of them a while ago. But Dr. Pickering suggested that the Tortola Pier Park Group, who has been offered a contract to extend and develop the cruise ship pier here in Road Town, has offered to help develop at least 3 beaches here on Tortola in particular. He mentioned Josiah's Bay, Burroughs Bay, and Brandywine Bay. So maybe, of course, he didn't give any details in relation to the actual cost of this project and where the monies are going to come from. But by mentioning that the Tortola Pier Park Group are going to assist with developing beaches and listing Brandywine Bay, one could conclude that some of the monies could actually come in terms of assistance from this particular group. But arguably, these are just proposals.
Yeah. Well, this will remain my concern until I see evidence to the contrary. That yes, we need development. Yes, we want to have all the nice things and make our tourism product attractive. But how much ownership and how much participation in our economy are we going to have, are local people going to have? And that is my concern when we bring in all these people to come in and spend money and then they control and the money flows into their pockets. How much of that money is going to flow into our pockets and how is that going to be done? So that's always my concern, and I don't suppose you have any indication how that's going to be done, huh, Sean?
Well, no idea at this point at least, except to say that I'm sure the various contractors in the territory are already excited and probably oiling their respective tools, expecting to be awarded some of these contracts when they do come on stream. And we can argue that yes, it's employment opportunities for people in the territory, and as you said a while ago, improving the tourism product. But again, no indication as to where the monies are going to be coming from, and government will have its task cut out to convince the people of the territory that they are not offering a pie in the sky. Well,
I am anticipating that during the consultation phase, we will have many of the questions answered. So I'm looking forward to that phase of the development.
Certainly, and do stay tuned to JTV News throughout this week and into the weekend for more details on this, the Brandywine Bay Development Project and other stories.
Okay, coming up, I'm going to be talking with David Archer. He's the conference coordinator for the Rotary Club, as well as the District Governor Vance Lewis. We're going to be talking about philanthropy. We're going to talk about the upcoming conference that is slated for convening here in the BVI. It's going to be hundreds and hundreds of people. It's going to be a real economic boon for the territory to have the conference held here, and we're going to talk about Rotary's continued service to the territory, and maybe by getting what the Non-Profit Organization Act means to organizations such as Rotary and the impact it may have on them as well. Also, coming up after that, we're going to have Dr. Patricia Turnbull talking about her new book, Can These Stones Talk? This is Dr. Pat Turnbull. She's a lecturer at SCC. Did a fantastic amount of research on a book talking about the liberated Africans in the Kingston settlement area. Can These Stones Talk? We'll be talking with her, and we're going to be identifying those African brothers and sisters who were not actually slaves, but came after the Emancipation Proclamation and went through a similar process, and how they retained some of that culture and some of the skills that they came to the islands with. You know, we have been told that we were savages living in Africa swinging from trees, and I'm happy to help to be a part of dispelling all the lies that have been told about African people through the years in order to create a superiority complex. You keep it locked right here at the Spotlight. We're going to come right back with the members of the Rotary Club.
This program is sponsored by the law firm of J.S. Archibald & Co. and by the trust company J.S. Archibald Trust Services Limited, both of Road Town, Tortola, BVI.
Calling all CCT Internet customers. Did you know if you have CCT Internet service including internet on your phone, you can connect to CCT's 4G Wi-Fi service free of charge? That means you can enjoy unlimited high-speed CCT Wi-Fi on any Wi-Fi device. Browse the web, check your mail, stay connected to any of CCT BVI's hotspots for free. Call CCT today and request your exclusive CCT Wi-Fi username and password and join the CCT Wi-Fi network. CCT, the home of unlimited.
It's fast, it's reliable, it's Bolo's full-color high-tech printery. For on-time production of your funeral booklets, graphic designs, CD covers, and complete wedding packages. Bolo's high-tech printery. Need your banners, brochures, posters, flyers, business cards, and stationery in a hurry? It's Bolo's high-tech printery. Whatever your printing or paper supply needs, no job is too big or too small. At Bolo's full-color high-tech printery, we don't just promise great quality, we put it on paper. Visit Bolo's full-color high-tech printery in Vanderpools Plaza or call us at 494-3641.
Choosing a college education is one of the most important decisions that you will ever make. A college degree or certification opens doors to greater opportunities that will improve the quality of life for you and your family. The greater the investment made in education, the greater the returns. I am Charlita Millington, Regulator of Investments and Securities Business, and a proud graduate of the H. Laverty Stout Community College. A leader in higher education which aids in the improvement of life, a vibrant economy, and nation building. Any educational institution is best judged by its graduates. And the H. Laverty Stout Community College is committed to the development of the human resources of these Virgin Islands and the region. Now, because of HLSCC, I am making a difference.
Remember, at HLSCC, your tomorrow begins today.
Let's get this party started right now. Let's get this party rolling.
Yo, pick up your trash.
Let's get this party started right now. Let's get this party rolling right now.
There are designated dump sites in the territory. Would you throw the trash in the middle of your home? It is illegal to leave trash on top of your moving vehicle. The bag of garbage must be placed in the trunk. It is never to be left on the top. It only takes a few minutes to toss your garbage in the bin. When you don't take the time, litter and trash become an issue to everyone. Don't be careless. Make sure you toss it responsibly. The BVI is our home, so we ask each and every one of you to do your part and help us keep the BVI clean.
Please, throw your garbage in the waste bins. The BVI is our home and our future.
Drive and truck your bulky trash to the designated dump sites located at Sandbeal, Anegada, Pond Bay, Jos Van Dyke, North Sound, Virgin Gorda, and Hawkwood Pond, Tortola. Dare to care? Your BVI needs you.
Your car will love Virgin Island Motors' newly expanded, large, and more spacious, well-stocked automotive supply store. All your automotive parts and supplies under one roof. Get your cleaners, degreasers, refrigerants, solvents, thinners, tints, floor mats, wiper blades, seat covers, and much, much more. Everything you need to keep your car running smooth and looking new. Virgin Island Motors remain the home of the world-famous quality AC Delco parts. And when you and your loved ones are riding, make sure you're riding on Goodyear and Cooper tires. The sturdiest Duracell AGM marine batteries are now in stock at Virgin Island Motors. Virgin Island Motors, everything you need for a smooth ride.
Welcome back to Spotlight. I'm happy to have with me two of my good friends, my good buddies. You're my cousin-in-law.
Yes.
You're not my cousin-in-law, but you're my good buddy.
You never know.
That's true.
I could very well be your cousin-in-law too.
That's true.
Right?
Yeah.
We're both from Africa.
Yeah,
So
yeah, that's true. We have to trace it back.
that's right.
I want to welcome District Governor. We're going to have a lot of fun. I want to welcome District Governor Vance Lewis from Rotary and Conference Coordinator David Archer from Rotary to Spotlight. Good to see you, brothers.
Thank you very much, Adrian.
Good to be here.
Yeah, the stalwarts of service in the BVI.
Well, you know, I've never heard it referred to in that way.
Yeah.
But that is one of the better ways I've heard it referred to. So
But I mean,
we love that.
I know you guys, you know, well, for at least, I know about you for at least 17 years,
Okay.
right?
Yeah.
And all that I know about you is that you're always in some service thing or the next,
That's true. That's true.
right?
That's true.
That's all I know. That's all I know about you. You know, you with the cart show and making contributions.
Exactly.
You know, you with the music festival. I mean, you know, and you've been with Rotary forever.
Yeah, well, it almost feels like forever as well, and you understand, you know, both of us as Rotarians, we're really all about changing lives for the better, changing people's lives. That's what Rotary Rotarians do. And I want someone coined it nicely. When you ask who are Rotarians, and someone said it's really just ordinary people doing extraordinary things.
Changes people's life. You just became district governor. What is that? How does that feel? It's the first time for the BVI. It seemed like, you know, you in charge of the whole Caribbean region or something. I mean,
It's an
it
awesome.
sounds like a big job.
It's an awesome feeling, and it is big indeed. Only from the point of view that the territory we have to cover is 10 countries, and these 10 countries really, the Bahamas, Jamaica, Haiti, Turks and Caicos Islands, the Cayman Islands, US Virgin Islands, British Virgin Islands, French St. Martin, Dutch St. Martin, and Anguilla, and St. Bart's as well, which is counts as part of French St. Martin. So it's quite a lot of area to cover. And a lot of our district is 70, District 70-20. And in Rotary hierarchy, District 70-20 is really a part of Zone 34. So Zone 34 is the Eastern Seaboard and the Caribbean. And there are 3 districts in the Caribbean, really. There's the Northern Caribbean, which is District 70-20, of which I'm currently District Governor. The Southern Caribbean, which starts in St. Kitts and heads south to the northern tip of South America. And also District 7000, which is Puerto Rico. They have their own district. Although District 70-20 is the largest of the 3 districts, actually, in terms of membership. But yeah, it is awesome, but it is really humbling when you consider sometimes what you really do is try and uplift people. And, you know, one of the reasons you hear Rotarians, we're always on the go, because we're all about changing lives for the better.
Now, does your appointment as district governor had anything to do with us getting the prestigious district conference?
Absolutely.
You just went in and said, listen, I'm district governor, and this conference is coming to the BVI this year. Bingo, right?
You know, I'd like to imagine it that way, but historically, in the Caribbean districts, whenever you have a home district governor, he has the choice of where the district conference is held. And historically it has been held at the home of the district governor. BVI has never had a district governor before, so this is the first time. And there were a lot of skeptics, a lot of people who said, well, you know, where are we going to put all these people because we do not have a large hotel. And I think those were just opportunities to actually a problem is an opportunity waiting for a solution. And I didn't see that as a deterrent, because I know in BVI we really are a small engine that can do big things. And with respect to holding a district conference, it's the first time for us. It certainly won't be the last time, and it is going to be a very successful conference because we have an awesome team in the BVI.
Now, what the district conference is going to be a major economic boon for the BVI. About how many people do you expect? About what, 400 or 500 people?
David is the conference chair, so I'll just let David take that.
Okay.
Yes, about 400, 500 persons coming from the countries, as our DG mentioned. So we expect a lot of economic stimulation.
How many days?
It's going to be 1 week, May 13th through the 18th.
5 days, 400 people.
Yes.
You expect all the rooms, and it's going to be in a multi-purpose sports complex.
Yeah, actually our main activity area is going to be at HLSCC. That's where we'll have all the learning activities.
What is the district conference about? What is going to happen in that conference?
Well, at the conference, of course, you have Rotarians which will come together to learn about new Rotary business, also bringing together different countries to really define and path the way forward for Rotary. It's a chance for the different countries within the district also to hear from our district leaders in terms of the future of Rotary, and at the same time fellowship, have some fun, and really chart the way forward for giving back to the community in the next 10, 20 years going forward.
So it's an accounting, reporting, and vision.
Learning.
Learning.
Yeah.
And also vision as well, because we, one of the new things about Rotary is we are really trying to get clubs to begin to do strategic planning so they can feel the pulse for their communities, understand what the needs are in the communities, and develop plans for solving some of those, and be forward-looking as well in a lot of areas, so that we can get Rotary International, which is our parent organization, to begin to plan to put monies where it is needed.
Where does Rotary see itself as going? I mean, as district governor, what is your vision? Where what additional service can you give, and what you see the needs are of your district, BVI particularly, but district generally? That's
a really powerful question. I mean, first of all, let's take Rotary at its inception. 1905, 4 guys in Chicago started Rotary. One of these fellows was a fellow called Paul Harris, so he's our founder. We are now, and this was February 23rd, so February 23rd this year, we will be 108 years. And when they formed Rotary initially, the idea was Paul felt a bit lonely, and he felt that he could give back by using his vocation, give back to his local community. That has not changed. On the way towards our development in 1932, we developed something called now the 4-way test. And the 4-way test goes something like this. Of the things we think, say, or do, is it the truth? That's number one. Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? And will it be beneficial to all concerned? That is our code of ethics. Rotarians still live by those code of ethics up until today, so that hasn't changed. What has changed is the way we carry out our service to meet to meet communities' needs, and how we help people, because Rotary prides itself on continuously changing to meet the changing needs of communities. Rotary also has formed some youth organizations, and we're now trying to embrace youth, get them into leadership positions earlier and empower them, teach them leadership skills, teach them empowerment. And another change that Rotary has had over the years as well, which happened very late in the 20th century, is women in Rotary. There are still some organizations which are dominated, male only for that matter. But in '89, Rotary inducted women, and we're pleased that 2012 to 2014 we have our first female director in Rotary. There's 17 such directors in Rotary International, so I think we're making quite a lot of progress. And women today make up about 27% of the population of Rotary. So, I think we're still deficient in that regard, but I think we're growing. As you look at the growth of women in Rotary, it is phenomenal. And if you look at young people participating in leadership, that is changing as well. If you look at how Rotary has changed lives, for instance, our flagship project, polio, in 1985, Rotary embarked on a journey to eradicate polio from the face of the earth. We thought that we could do this in 25 years, which would have meant by 2010 we should be done. But we're almost there. We're really just this close from getting it done. And I said this close because the last 4 countries which were very tough were Pakistan, Afghanistan, India, and Nigeria. The acronym for that is PAIN. In 2011, India was declared polio-free, and so far it has remained polio-free. So we're down to 3 countries. This year we have, and I've got the stats right in front of me here. This year we have, well, not this year anymore, but as of early December, there were just 136 cases of polio rising globally. You know, you contrast that with the number of the thousands of cases of poliomyelitis that we used to have around the world. It's progress.
So Rotary is achieving its goals.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yes.
What can we expect from this conference, David?
Well, for Rotarians who will come to the BVI, of course, we have the learning opportunities, but at the same time, we'll have cultural activities. So we'll expose Rotarians to a taste of the BVI through food, through dance, through culture. We'll have other activities geared to bring the community involved with Meet the Rotarians, for example, such as a community walk. We will have our very own district governor ball, which will be a formal event where persons can dress up a little bit and experience some of the beautiful vistas of the country. Along with that, we will have formal introductions with the governor, the deputy governor, but more so having a chance to not only bring the district together, but introduce the BVI to the district of 7020.
The community is going to participate in what ways?
Well, first they'll participate by volunteering to be part of our different teams, subcommittees that we have to pull this conference together. Everyone from taxi drivers to anyone who has an interest in pulling things together.
You're looking for help.
Oh, yes.
You're looking for, well, for lack of a better word, non-Rotarian help.
Non-Rotarian, and we have a very large non-Rotarian and Rotarian family, but they're all our family. So this conference needs the entire BVI to make it happen.
So you want persons to call you and volunteer? How are you managing that situation?
Very simple. It's easy. Just take my number, which is 541-9194. 541-9194. That's the easiest way. Or as a small BVI, persons can find me throughout the place. But what we're trying to do...
And you are in the Deputy Governor's office?
Yes, I am. So what we're trying to do is not just have a conference for Rotarians, but of course expose the BVI to Rotary in a particular way. So that's our overall goal, while having fellowship and fun, because our district governor is notwithstanding his great astuteness as it relates to to Rotary, he's a fun guy. So we plan to have a great time. And the theme for the conference is experience the passion of Rotary.
Can experience the passion of Rotary? Can the members of the community come to the conference, or is it just for Rotarians?
Yeah, the conference is generally for Rotarians themselves, but we've planned some social events where members of the public can participate.
So what I'm asking, if I wanted to come and sit in on the conference, that wouldn't be something that's possible.
Yeah, generally we because a lot of it is about Rotary.
Right.
But you
doubt if anyone would want to come in.
Yeah, people wouldn't generally want to come.
Right.
Yeah.
So okay.
Yeah, but the community will benefit by virtue of having so many Rotarians here for the week. 1 and 2.
Right.
We are looking for, like David mentioned, we have a project, a health walk. We're looking for participation from the community, and we're looking at having other social events. We're having a cultural evening.
And the community could come to the cultural
evening. We want the community to be part of that as well.
And that's going to be, when is the conference, the date?
May 13th through the 18th.
May 13th to the 18th. Yeah. And how can we get more information? Is it going to be just by various appearances, or is there going to be a program sheet?
Well, of course we have a website. The easiest thing to do is just Google Rotary District Conference and 7020, and you will see that, or District 7020 Conference, and you can go online and see the different activities. A website, you'll see our district governor's pictures along with our visions and the programs for that activity. But we'll have several other public relations initiatives where persons will get a chance to learn about what we're going to do in the next upcoming months, basically.
Okay, we're going to take a break, and we're going to come back and talk some more about the Rotary and about the district conference that's coming up. Keep me locked right here to Spotlight.
Right. Spotlight is brought to you by Bolo's High-Tech Printery, Virgin Island Motors, and Clarence Thomas Limited.
Did you know there's a drive-through lumberyard in the BVI? That's right, the only drive-through lumberyard in the territory. What does that mean? Well, for one thing, your lumber and plywood stayed nice, dry, and straight. No more curves. But not only that, They are experts on hand to help you with any and everything lumber, and there's also a pro store where you can get everything else to complement your purchases. Blocks, cement, molding, steel, windows, doors, galvalume, fencing, fasteners, tools, and that's just to name a few. Where is this place, you ask? Well, that's at CTL Lumberyard and Pro Store, of course. Visit us in Port Russell at the Old Sims location and see for yourself. Good lumber at the best prices. No, you can't beat that. Telephone us at 284-494-2359 and ask for our lumberyard. CTL Lumberyard and Pro Store, the best products at the lowest prices, period.
Are you a U.S. citizen or a resident alien living in the BVI? Do you meet the requirements to file a U.S. income tax return with the Internal Revenue Service along with any applicable foreign bank, financial accounts, and statements of specified foreign financial assets? If you answered yes to the previous questions, you need M.A. Clark, CPA, LLC, to assist you in complying with filing your requirements as well as small business account services. Call us today for a free consultation. 284-494-0401 or contact us on the web. We look forward to working with you.
Serving the community for over 25 years, Tortola Concrete Limited is the leading producer of concrete products in the BVI. With grades of 3,000 to 5,000 PSI, Tortola Concrete ready-mix quality unmatched in the industry, and we can mix to your specifications. Our aggregates are clean through our unique washing process for our smooth, clean mix, and our special chilling process makes our concrete crack resistant. Tortola Concrete Limited is the concrete company for all your quality concrete products. Gravel, road base, face stone, boulders, armor rock, coarse sand, terrace, and the cleanest, strongest, crack-resistant, ready-mix concrete. Tortola Concrete batch plant serve you Monday to Saturday, 7 a.m. until the last load. Our knowledgeable, effective staff gives you free estimate and delivers on time to any location. Contact Tortola Concrete at 494-3259, Monday to Friday, 8 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. Conveniently located in Parkwood Pond near the BVI electricity plant. At Tortola Concrete Limited, the strength is in the mix.
Life is like a mountain you must climb. Life is like a treasure you must find. A baby learning how to talk. With just one step begins to walk. One step at a time will lead you to paradise. Your dreams are there to find. One step to paradise.
Welcome back to Spotlight. Welcome back. You're having a discussion out there. Yes, I'm here with District Governor, Rotary District Governor Vance Lewis, and the District Conference Coordinator, chairperson, I should say, Chairman, David Archer. And we're talking about Rotary, and we're talking about the upcoming conference that's going to be held in May, I think May 13th?
May 13th.
May 13th, and the significance of it. And of course, you know, I'm always looking at economics.
Yes.
And I see lots of money coming into the territory during what would probably be the slow period.
Exactly.
Right?
Yes.
So it's well-timed, well-planned in Rotary fashion. So that's a great event. Now you have all kinds of trappings and pomp and circumstance around the conference, and I mean I got a cute little pin. I don't have a lapel, but certainly I put it on and I have it here so I could go over with David all the symbolic meaning of the conference logo and the pin. Well, why you have your own separate conference logo? What is that about? What that comes out of?
Well, basically this is unique for District Conference, and we thought that because the BVI is unique in the district, that we'll have something which is reflective of the district, but most importantly reflective of the conference and of the Virgin Islands. So that's a pin that we have.
And it's a commemorative pin.
Yes.
And anyone can have one. Is it for sale or?
We've sold some of them, but we use them just to promote the conference.
Just to promote the conference.
Yes, basically.
So go ahead and talk about what the logo means.
Well, at the
I don't know if you can get it up on the, if you could get it up on the screen. Yes, there it goes.
Okay. At the center of the logo, you see the anchor, and that anchor, of course, represents the BVI being the sailing capital of the world, as we call it. It also represents the anchor that cements us as Rotarians. To the left, we have the dove. That's the sign of peace, and that's actually the Rotary's official sign, which is peace. We have on the right-hand side the hibiscus, and the hibiscus is said to be common throughout all of the 10 countries within the district. On the top of the anchor, we have our infamous Rotary reel, and surrounding each side of the anchor, we have 5 stars on one side and 5 stars on the next. Those are reflective of the actual countries within the district. And of course, we have the theme, which says experience the passion of Rotary. So our intent for district conference is not just to, have talks, but we also want to ensure that persons experience the passion that Rotarians have and that we have for charity and charitable work.
Okay, that's quite interesting.
And you would know, Cromwell, part of the passion that we feel, because if I recall, if memory serves me right, some years ago when the earthquake happened in Haiti, I think you were a part of our panel which helped to raise some funds, and we did good things with some of those funds as well.
Yes,
we built schools in Haiti. I've been back, I've seen those schools, I've seen kids, in uniforms. When they realize they got help from BVI, I feel really, really proud. I have felt very proud, certainly, to be a part of it, and I certainly wish I could bring that home more towards the BVI. As a matter of fact, we are trying to get some of those kids, a couple of those kids, to come back here at the conference, so we can see that these are a product of our labors here in BVI.
Well, certainly. Coming closer to the conference, yes. When you have the young people in the territory, I'm sure we will be happy to put the spotlight on them.
Oh, great.
Here, so I know you guys will keep me informed.
Yes.
And thanks for mentioning that, because I support. I'm not a Rotarian, but
you have always supported.
I've always supported service. I always supported Rotary service.
We don't have to ask you twice. Sometimes we don't have to ask you once. Oh, you're there. One way or another.
I call you to.
That's right. You are a Rotarian, except you don't come to meetings often enough.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, but I think there's over the last few weeks, or a month or so, when we had the passing of the not-for-profit organization act.
Yes.
The non-profit organizations were sort of concerned. I wouldn't say up in arms, but concerned. How is that act impacting on Rotary? Does it make a difference in or hinder in any way your ability to continue your service that you've been providing for the territory?
Well, we understand that the Act is now law, basically, and Rotary conforms with it. It means we have to work, we have to execute some projects differently. We have to be more diligent and transparent in the way we do things. Basically, I think Rotary has always been known to be responsible. Now I think it gives us the opportunity to actually display that more publicly. If I were to just go back in time just a little bit, a long time ago, Rotary used to be what I would coin one of the world's best kept secrets, because Rotarians are very shy about promoting what they did. And Rotary has changed to the extent that we now want to tell people what we do and ask people what more we can do. And I think the Act, the Not-for-Profit Act, actually, it allows us to raise monies in a responsible way, but also to tell publicly what we do, and to have professionals verify that as well in the form of accountability. So I look at that as an opportunity. I can tell you, though, that in some other countries, some organizations, some non-profit organizations, are looking at that with less than an embracing attitude. But we have nothing to hide or to fear in BVI from that. We will comply.
Well, does this provide an opportunity for Rotary and other non-profit organizations to solicit funds further afield because of the accountability that is necessary to provide for the authorities and so on? Did they give you a wider begging market, to put it that way?
I guess it's really about accountability. Any serious organization that will donate monies, the first thing that they will ask you, really, are you an official nonprofit organization? And that official status normally comes from a recognized government entity. So the flip side of being able to have more accountability is that when you're accountable, persons tend to give more.
You got that added respect.
Exactly.
And you know what David says is absolutely true. If we look at Rotary from a macro point of view, Rotary International has a foundation, and the foundation is really what executed the polio project that I spoke about earlier. But Bill Gates, the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, in 2009 challenged Rotary by giving $155 million, and they said, we give it to you, we challenge you to raise $100 million within 1 year. I think it was within 2 years, the first. And Rotary executed that, had that funds, those funds raised. And then Bill said, as a goodwill gesture, I'm giving you another $100 million. Match me. And Rotary did that again globally. It speaks to the organization and to the respect that the foundation arm has got and the organization has as well. And Rotary has also partnered with the Dolly Parton in literacy as well. We've done a lot of great work. A lot of people don't realize, for instance, that Rotary has a lot of great educational programs. For instance, for the very first time since Rotary started the BVI some 45 years ago, we now have our first ambassadorial scholar, Tashima Bazi, and we were able to send her off to the US last year under my watch as governor. To better her skills at a college year. So she's going to come back a very qualified paramedic and more. And that also, I think I've heard her say she wants to go on now to do medicines and stuff like that. So, I mean, that's what Rotary does in terms of changing lives. Because, this is a young person, and she now has an opportunity that she wouldn't have had it not been Rotary. And we also have several opportunities as well. Rotary has a program called the Group City Exchange, where we exchange young people with other countries. Under my 10 years governor as well, we are having team exchanged with India from Jamaica, and the Indian team is going to be here for the conference. We're also having a Texas team exchange with the BVI. This is the second time BVI has had a chance to send a team out. And these are cultural and educational exchanges where you can actually look at how your skill is executed in another country, come back and implement what you've learned.
What can the BVI community do to help Rotary to become more effective than it already is? Do you guys need any more help from the general environment? I know I feel more comfortable giving to an organization now that I know I could look at their annual report and see what has happened to the money that I have donated, or what has happened to the service that I have given. At first you're giving unconditionally.
Yes.
Now it's being accounted for.
Yes.
So I think that's one of the great benefits of the act. But as a community, what can we do to give more help those of us who are in need and make Rotary and other service organizations more effective?
Well, I think one thing that we have to do more in the BVI is speak out and identify where there are real needs. We recognize that there are persons in this country that might be having a difficult time. Sometimes we're not aware. And whether it's something as simple as helping to paint your home, or providing services, or providing meals, along those lines, if the community will realize that individually you can do some great things, but collectively you can do even more, the possibility of partnering with Rotary to do certain projects goes a long way. So I think the community really First of all, we have to do our job in reaching out further to the community, but also the community reaching out to us, asking the question, asking our DG, and what's on the plan, what about this project, how can you do to help, I think will go a long way.
And reaching out to the community is a good point there, David, because Rotary for a while has had a patina, if you will, a feeling of, being sort of, for lack of a better word, an elite group of people, and the common man service was not welcome. And am I identifying this correctly? And is that something that you are taking into account as district governor and as Rotarians? Is there something that you're paying particular attention to?
And as I alluded to before, I coined it as perhaps one of the best kept secrets. And people used to think we're a secret organization, but we're not. We're very open. Mm-hmm. And we're really just business and professional leaders who want to do things in our community. And the way we do this is we use our vocation to do this. But we partner with welcoming communities as well. In some cases, we raise funds. In some cases, we put our hands in our pockets. Once we have the funds necessary, we will do things in the community to uplift the community. Case in point, Haiti. When I visited Haiti, as district governor, I have to visit every club, the 82 clubs in the district. Sorry?
We are falling under the tyranny of the clock, so I'm saying that so that you could shorten the story.
Right.
Yeah.
In Haiti, we actually, Rotary opened 7 wells. People used to have to walk 3 miles for a bucket of water. That's what Rotary does. And while I was cutting the ribbon and doing this, an old lady said, "Okay, District Governor, thank you very much for the water. Now we need some latrines." And guess what? They're getting some latrines next month. They're getting 25 latrines next month in that small community in the mountains.
Well, BVI landers are saying, that we need help in the BVI too. Yeah. And I met a lady today who's asking for help to have her daughter have a surgery. A few weeks back, I met a gentleman that had eye surgery but needed another eye surgery. Mm-hmm. One of his eyes was a patch, and he had to go get the eye done. And he needed eye surgery. And so more and more, this community, given the economic times that we face in the BVI, more and more members of our community are beginning to have some of the same needs as other persons or brothers and sisters in other Caribbean countries. And how is Rotary reaching the home base?
And we have been very active in our local community as well. We've done dialysis machines in the hospital. We've helped our partner NPOs, the Diabetes Association, the Cancer Society.
But if someone wants help, if someone in a community needs some help, how do you go about that? How do you go about helping that individual that is in immediate need?
Well, we have 3 clubs, Rotary Club of Tortola, Rotary Club of Rotown, Rotary Club Sunrise. And we meet Tuesday morning, Rotary Club of Sunrise meets at Maria's by the Sea. On Tuesday afternoon, 12 o'clock to 1:30, Rotary Club of Rotown meets at the Morins. And Thursdays, Rotary Club of Tortola meet at the Morins. So I think if you don't know how to get in contact with individual presidents, then you can show up that day and a member can speak with you. But we can't solve all the issues, but we can help. And the same passion that you've just expressed, I remember one of our recent meetings, collectively the club speaking of the same passion about ensuring that our efforts not only help the rest of the world, but most importantly that we zone in, especially now in the BVI, to help persons who are in need, because there are persons with some great needs right now.
Okay, we got that's all we have time for. But in wrapping up, I'd like you to just give some brief information about contact, how to get in touch with you, how we can help, how the community can participate in the district conference coming up.
Well, district conference takes place May 13th through the 18th in the BVI. Over 400 Rotarians will be here. You can contact me at 541-9194 or just see me around. Our district governor, Vance Lewis, is also available for any questions. But we're going to have a great time. We're going to bring Rotarians from 10 different countries to the islands to not just fellowship in the Rotary way, but to to involve the community in Rotary business.
Literally, we're going to showcase the BVI, and that's so important.
And they could, for more information, they could log on to your website at 720.org.
That's the district website, and that has got links to everything. And the last thing, Cromwell, Rotarians usually wear a lapel pin, right? Once you see the Rotary wheel, ask them about Rotary. Ask them how they can help.
You could talk to them.
Yes, absolutely.
Great. Brother Vince, Brother David, it's always great to see you. We always have a good time. And of course, we're looking forward to the district conference from information purposes as well as economic activity.
Yes.
So we need to thank you for that. That's a great service.
Yes, okay, thank you. And thank you very much for having us as well.
It's always my pleasure.
Okay.
Yeah, we're going to take a break forward from our sponsors, and when we come back, we're going to come back with Dr. Patricia Turnbull and the liberated Africans that settled in Kingston and what they meant to the BVI, the Virgin Islands, during the post-plantation era. Keep it locked right here. The Spotlight will be right back right after these words.
This program is sponsored by the law firm of J.S. Archibald & Co. and by the trust company J.S. Archibald Trust Services Limited, both of Rotown, Tortola, BVI.
At CCT, unlimited means unlimited. We've got the best selection for unlimited voice and internet plans available. Choose unlimited voice for only $39 per month. We'll give you a choice of unlimited usage with or without contract. Just choose one of our no contract plans. Need unlimited internet? You got it. We'll give you unlimited internet on your phone or unlimited broadband at home without no overage charges. No high bills, no need to pay for fixed line you never use. Choose CCT and join the home of unlimited today. CCT, where unlimited means unlimited.
Your car will love Virgin Island Motors' newly expanded, large, and more spacious, well-stocked automotive supply store. All your automotive parts and supplies under one roof. Get your cleaners, degreasers, refrigerants, solvents, thinners, tints, floor mats, wiper blades, seat covers, and much, much more. Everything you need to keep your car running smooth and looking new. Virgin Island Motors remain the home of the world-famous quality AC Delco parts. And when you and your loved ones are riding, make sure you're riding on Goodyear and Cooper tires. The sturdiest Duracell AGM marine batteries are now in stock at Virgin Island Motors. Virgin Island Motors, everything you need for a smooth ride.
What are you doing with your life? What are you doing with your life? Hanging out on the corner where there is no future. What are you doing with your life? Tell me, what are you doing with your life? What are you doing with your life? That's what you should do with your life.
It's fast, it's reliable, it's Bolo's full-color high-tech printery. For on-time production of your funeral booklets, graphic designs, CD covers, and complete wedding packages. Bolo's high-tech printery. Need your banners, brochures, posters, flyers, business cards, and stationery in a hurry? It's Bolo's high-tech printery. Whatever your printing or paper supply needs, no job is too big or too small. At Bolo's full-color high-tech printery, we don't just promise great quality, we put it on paper. Visit Bolo's full-color high-tech printery in Vanderpool's Plaza or call us at 494-3641.
Welcome to Spotlight, and I'm really excited about having Dr. Patricia Turnbull. She's of course a lecturer at H. Laverty South Community College, great teacher, years and years of commitment to education in the Virgin Islands, and she just published a spanking brand new book. It's called Can These Stones Talk? Can These Stones Talk? And she's talking about those stones that you pass every single day on your way to East End. The Kingston was it the St. Philip's Church? Yes. Welcome to Spotlight. Good to see you.
Thank you so much.
Yes. You must be proud of your book. I read it. I was, enthralled by all the information, and it told me a lot of things about the plantation era, about slavery and the post-plantation era, and how some of the trickery, some of the trickery that went on that's affecting us today. What was the motivation for the book?
Well, I had heard about the liberated Africans for a long time. When I first started teaching in the 70s at the high school, I taught history, and it was on the history syllabus for the younger students, and I had to learn something about them. But the readings were scant, and I moved into the teaching of more English than history. But in more recent times, that's about 5, 6, 7 years ago, my interest in the subject was reawakened. I decided in 2007 for the bicentennial of the Abolition Act to do a paper on the area, on the Kingstown area, particularly St. Philip's Church ruins, and I was not planning to celebrate anything, but just to ask primarily some questions about this site. How much do we know about it? Because I just sensed that there were a lot of gaps in the knowledge, and I wanted to check the accuracy of the knowledge myself. And one day, visiting there, I passed there every day, twice a day to work, and the ruin just became more prominent in my mind.
The stones kept talking to you?
Oh, they just kept talking. And one day I was going to town, and my son and his daughter were going east, and we decided to meet there. We had a meeting right there where I was. And my granddaughter asked me, "Grandma, what is this place?" And I told her it was an old church. My son was not too thrilled that I was interested in studying an old church. But I just, with this question, it really prompted me to find out more. And so after I had done the paper, ironically I discovered the following year, in 2008, that there was a large conference in California at Berkeley on the subject of liberated Africans all over the world who had been settled after 1807, when the British claimed that the slave trade would begin to come to an end. And these people had been settled in places as far as the Indian Ocean, in Mauritius, in the Seychelles Islands, in the Atlantic, in places like Brazil. And I realized, well, this was more than the Virgin Islands.
So who are liberated Africans? What does that term mean?
Well, the term in itself is ambiguous.
Yes.
It is very ambiguous, and
because if you weren't a slave, you couldn't have been liberated.
And that is what I think the people knew. That is why they got on the colonists' nerves, because the word liberated implies, a passive type of state, that somebody did this for you. And they continually resisted. They saw what enslavement was like from their fellow Africans, and they knew that's not what they were.
So these are people that came, that were on the way to the Western Hemisphere when the Emancipation Proclamation or the abolition of slavery was
about 30 years before emancipation. These people were on the Middle Passage coming from Africa. They were on the slave ships. They had already suffered the trauma of the capture and the Middle Passage. And when in 1807, 1806, 1807, the Abolition Act to stop the slave trade was enacted, all slaves on board captured ships had to be released. That was the declaration.
The declaration. Mm-hmm.
So whether they were at sea or they had just reached land, they were supposed to be released. But it was not as simple as that, because right here in the Virgin Islands, these people were kept in barracks just like slaves for a long time until they could find, according to the rules of the Abolition Act, people to apprentice them, to put them in the status of indentured laborers, as it were. But the conditions seem to be so lax on the part, in reality, that a lot of them were no more than slaves.
So they really experienced the same conditions of a slave.
They were caught,
even though they were in fact were not.
Because the freedom or the liberty was constantly challenged. Many of them were recaptured and used, and they were not paid for their labor. Their indenture was as long as 14 years to have to work for somebody for 14 years, and they're not treating you right. I mean, so the term liberators is in itself questionable, and according to Harrigan and Varlach, who wrote the Virgin Islands storybook, they were neither slave nor free, and that ambiguous situation made for a very unique type of existence.
Do we have any, can we trace any Virgin Islander back to that group?
I would think so, but I'll let you know that, some people are not, in my research I've found that some people are reluctant to come forward and say who they are, because those people...
I heard the name Crab, for example, mentioned.
Okay.
And it was mentioned in the context, because I didn't know about this, I think, until I heard you during a conference at HLSCC talk about it. And I heard the word crab as a person or owner who had some of these indentured Africans. And we know of some crabs here in the territory, and I was wondering if those crabs are connected to, because really all of us, our last names are plantation owner names.
And that was the case, because they were registered with their African names, and that's what makes them, we have more information on them as persons, as individuals, than we have on the registered slaves.
Okay.
But the name Crab, just like any other, the names of some I've listed there are no different to names that we hear throughout the Virgin Islands, including names like Lloyd and Pickering. And some of them we don't hear anymore, but Donovan, Harrigan, or as they said back then, Harrigan, Ingram. A lot of these names, including Hetherington, a lot of these names are very familiar to all of us. But what I know for sure is that they were stereotyped in their time by the colonists. And I think some of that rubbed off on the other Africans.
What was the cause of the stereotype? What?
Because of their resistance to being considered, an inferior people. They wanted to do their own work. That spirit of independence we talk about can be readily recognized in those people. If they wanted to be porters in Road Town, and that's what they wanted to be, if they didn't want to work on plantation doing agrarian work, they were called lazy, shiftless, proud. The stereotype of being proud, I think it resounds even today. Sometimes when you ask some people if they know about these people, and so they say, them people, them are funny boy, or them are proudy set up people. Or you hear these terms that have continued to this day. But and even in books, I have looked at books like Dukan's book on them. He's written on them, and they say they were distrustful. But I tried to look into the context of what might have caused some people to perceive them as such, and I've come to the conclusion that they were really poorly treated.
So that whole the stigma that the colonists tried to attach to the liberated Africans was one that was trying to force them into a certain condition or a certain behavior pattern,
a certain condition of submission. And that is one of the values that I recognize recognize in them that, you know, I admire. They knew who they were. They defined themselves, and they might have been troublesome to the hegemony at the time, because they're constantly resisting.
They didn't go through that period, that breaking in period.
They didn't have that creolization, that seasoning period, and they saw it. Some of them worked on some of those plantations, and they saw it, and they resisted it. And for that reason, I think that led into trying to resettle them out of Road Town. It's in Road Town and all over they were, you know.
And they would have had an impact on the other Africans who were slaves.
They didn't, well...
they would have, wouldn't they?
But I would think so, although some of the historians record that the other Africans felt that these people were superior to them, you know, the attitudes, but they had children, they had relations.
Well, I mean, I'm looking at it sociologically and culturally, and I'm seeing what may have happened. Of course, here you have a group of Africans who were not slaves interacting with a group of Africans who had went through the breaking in period of slavery and in the plantation era. They would have had different mentalities and would have looked at each other much the same way as we look at each other today, where I think that because you're in a higher position than me, or you feel that you're better than me, that I could see that scenario presenting itself in that kind of environment.
True, but I also believe there was a strong possibility that the colonists, the rulers of the day, played on that.
They were instigating.
Yes, there were those tensions, but I think they played on that, and they published it. They talked about it as these people as a set of unruly people, and that, you know, so I think they had to go through a very testy time, and they eventually, I believe, although it has come down to us as if the British did them a favor to get this land and settle them there. What I have discovered is that things were changing. Emancipation period was coming. The colonists feared the impact that these free people would have during a time where there were tensions and rebellions were being planned and that type of thing. And although it has come down, that it seemed like it was a benevolent act to resettle them from town, because
it was the slavers' way of trying to mitigate their circumstance for their benefit, for their interest.
It was the colonists' way of saying, I believe, let's get these people out of town, you know, and the documents say that. Put them not too far from town, but at a place which is Kingstown, where we can see them, we can know what's going on. And in those days, the customs house in town, look, the old customs house, what we call the long house now. Customs was around there, and before we come ski, you could see, if you see the map in the book, you could see Kingstown right across the bay.
So they could keep an eye on them.
Yeah, so they weren't in town, but they weren't too far away.
Yeah, we got to take a break.
Yeah.
But I want to continue the discussion around what appears to be a controversy that I'm picking up in your book about whether they in fact built that church and what skills they did in fact have as African people. Because, you know, one of the things that's being said, or one of the many lies that have been told about us as a people, is that we were skillless and really were just suited for slavery. We had no real education or skills. I heard someone say one time, you know, because they always say that we couldn't read or write. And I accepted that, and it never dawned on me all it was is that we couldn't read or write English. You know, I mean, that's how interesting a simple statement like that is. We're gonna take a break forward from our sponsor. We come back, we're gonna talk some more about the liberated Africans. It's gonna get better. Keep it locked right here to Spotlight.
Spotlight is brought to you by Tortola Concrete Limited and CCT Global Communications.
We have more than 30,000 products to improve your home. We have low prices that are guaranteed. We have helpful people to assist you. You can order Corian or granite countertops, windows and doors, and floors. For the best products at the lowest prices, visit CTL, the one-stop building supply store that will save you time and money. The best, and always have been.
Are you a U.S. citizen or a resident alien living in the BVI? Do you meet the requirements to file a U.S. income tax return with the Internal Revenue Service along with any applicable foreign bank, financial accounts, and statements of specified foreign financial assets? If you answered yes to the previous questions, you need M.A. Clark, CPA, LLC, to assist you in complying with filing your requirements as well as small business account services. Call us today for a free consultation. 284-494-0401 or contact us on the web. We look forward to working with you.
The BVI boasts some of the most beautiful beaches found anywhere in the world. It's our clear blue waters and pearly white sands that make it an ideal location for snorkeling, scuba diving, swimming, and exploring. Many locals enjoy spending time with their family and friends, and our visitors marvel at our shores. Yet, too often, more and more beachgoers are becoming careless. They're leaving their garbage on our sands and shores. Dumping trash and neglecting our environment eventually pollutes our lands and seas. The British Virgin Islands is known for its beautiful beaches. If we continue to litter our shores and waters, we'll only destruct our environment and tourism product.
Our beaches are our pride and joy. If we don't pick up behind ourselves, trash and litter will ruin our oceans and sea. Help us keep it clean.
Do you dive for litter? Do you even care? We didn't think so. Dare to care. Your BVI needs you.
Choosing a college education is one of the most important decisions that you will ever make. A college degree or certification opens doors to greater opportunities that will improve the quality of life for you and your family. The greater the investment made in education, the greater the returns. I am Charlita Millington, Regulator of Investments and Securities Business, and a proud graduate of the H. Laverty Stout Community College. A leader in higher education which aids in the improvement of life, a vibrant economy, and nation building. Any educational institution is best judged by its graduates. And the H. Laverty Stout Community College is committed to the development of the human resources of these Virgin Islands and the region. Now, because of HLSCC, I am making a difference.
Remember, at HLSCC, your tomorrow begins today.
Welcome back to Spotlight. I'm Ed Joenka. I'm here with Dr. Pat Turnbull. Of course, she's a lecturer at H. Laverty Stout Community College. She just published a new book, spanking brand new book, Can These Stones Talk? And it's about the liberated African, the St. Philip's Church ruins at the liberated African settlement in Kingston, Tortola, Virgin Islands. It's full of information about our African brothers and sisters who were not slaves and who made a tremendous impact here in the Virgin Islands. It's a good read, a lot of information. Dr. Pat, when you're launching the book, I got an advanced copy and I got a signed copy. I'm very proud of my copy.
You deserve it.
Thank you. When you're launching the book?
The book is going to be launched this coming Sunday, Sunday the 24th, at the H. Laverty Stout Community College Resource Center, the Learning Resource Center. But that will be at 3 o'clock in the afternoon.
And everybody can come and get the signed copy?
Oh, certainly.
Yes, that's cool. And how much is the book?
The book is $25, but on the day of the launch, we will be selling at a special price of $20.
$20, okay, cool. That's great. The building of the St. Philip's Church, I've heard that the Africans built that church. In reading your book, I came to the conclusion that they couldn't have built the church, or they might have helped, but they didn't have the resources, nor the authority, the authoritative power to actually engage in such an endeavor. How accurate is that?
Well, I too had always heard that the church was built by the Africans. I had to built. Sometimes you'd hear built by them, and sometimes you'd hear built for them.
Okay.
In exploring the documents, I discovered that the church was one of, the chapel as it was called then, was one of several across the West Indies, which was built starting from around 1824 with the institution of the first Anglican Episcopal bishop. He was responsible for the Diocese of Barbados and the Leeward Islands, which included the Virgin Islands. We were the most northerly of the places in the diocese. Now, he was on a mission to build these chapels. That he has been credited with that. And in 1842, just before his tenure was over, 2 years before his tenure, our church was built. So we were this church here at Kingstown was one of the last that was built. Yes, and that came from funds from the Anglican societies in Britain. Now,
the role of the liberated Africans.
The role of the liberated Africans. They had been there for about 7 years before the church was actually being built. Initially, the Methodist missionaries, with whom they were familiar from town, because one of the conditions of apprenticeship was that they had to be baptized. And the Methodists, they gravitated more towards the Methodists, because at that time the Anglican Church was more like a state, the more accomplished people. So
that was Uppity Church.
When they moved in 1831 to Kingstown, the Methodist missionaries accompanied them and did the first, church stuff, the schooling. There was not an official school, but there was instruction, because the Methodist Church had, as it still does, have this more openness.
Yes.
So.
But the physical structure.
The physical structure didn't happen until the funds came from the Bishop of the Barbados and the Diocese and the Anglican societies to build it in around 1840. It was mandated as part of the conversion civilizing mission.
And I want to talk, that's an important topic that I'm going to get into after we talk about what role did the Africans have in the labor.
Well, the labor was, they provided the labor, as is usually the case.
And the skills.
And the skills. So when we say it was built by the Africans, we have to specify that it was the labor and the skills that they provided. Because although, as I said in the book, the registers have them as domestics and carpenters, they were skilled artisans and craftsmen even before they came here.
So they brought from Africa, and that's the point I want to get to drive home to our viewing audience, because my goal is to dispel the lie that Africans who were enslaved by Europeans were somehow a lower class and deserved to be enslaved because there was really nothing else they were suited for, and that is a total lie.
And even part of the Abolition Act that made them apprentices, or made them so-called liberated, insisted that they had to be trained as if they didn't have skills. And the British spent a substantial amount of time, not only in the Virgin Islands, but wherever they were Africans, they spent a substantial amount of time preoccupied with convincing themselves that the Africans had the ability or did not have it to take care of themselves before they liberated them.
So the denigration was part of the building of the white superiority complex.
It was part of the submissive role in the relations of power. But the actual building of the church, labor was provided by the Africans. Although they were free, they were not compensated monetarily, I believe, because at that time the contract system of labor was what worked here, and it was the artisans from England who had the contracts to build institutions like the church.
Okay. Now, one of the things I noticed in the writing in the book was the purpose of the church, the purpose of religion, and the church that was proselytizing that religion as one of not as a favor, as an altruistic gesture to the Africans, those that were slaves and those that were liberated, but it was a methodology, a systematic methodology of an attempted control.
Just prior to emancipation, the abolitionists were fighting, some of them, for universal education, which included the enslaved people and the Africans. So in terms of universal education, that is established. However, the role of the church in building churches and church schools was essentially to convert African people, because their spiritual and religious life was not considered
valuable.
Valid,
yes.
So
they were heathens,
yes,
and they needed to be converted.
And the role of the church in those days, as they themselves said in their documents, was to...
And I have to say quote unquote heathens, because I don't want it to be...
those words are documented.
Yeah, but I don't want it to be thought of as we are agreeing that they were heathens. That I'm saying that because because we are subscribing to the Christian religion, that they were in fact heathens.
But that is how they were essentially perceived.
Yes.
And the role of the church in those days was to bring them, in their words, up to a state of moral advancement. That's the term they use, moral advancement. The African religions were criminalized. A lot of them went to jail in Antigua for practicing the religious and spiritual.
But it was basically about conversion for control.
Yes, it was about converting the African people.
But Africans still retain, as I noticed in your book, two things I noticed. One, they use the religious practices and the doctrine to their advantage. How did they do that?
Well, that was I think an essential part of the value of self-determination.
Yes.
In terms, they knew who they were, their identity, they had memory of their culture. Overtly, it was not appreciated by the British. However, they knew another value. They knew the value of education. And by the time the church had turned to church schools, they wasted no effort in making sure that their children went to school. So they more or less negotiated their way through, not completely surrendering the Africanness, but trying to take advantage.
Making those compromises that was necessary for their survival and advancement.
Yes, it was a tactical strategy.
Yes.
And I think that is something, we retain to this day. That's part of,
part of our culture.
Yeah, that's part of our culture.
Yes.
When the power is dominant, and you have to make a way, you have to find a way.
Yeah, well, people say when you're handling the lion much, you got to ease it out slowly.
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's the appropriate proverb. And so I don't think it's a case of them capitulating who they were.
It was actually a testimony to their brilliance.
There was some.
Their wisdom, yes. Yes.
Their wisdom, and that church school in Kingstown thrived until the British and the colonists here started withdrawing their support. And that is why I said that is why I came to the conclusion that when the church started to deteriorate, emancipation stepped in. We had a lot of turmoil, economic disintegration. The slave masters going back to England. Things were kind of chaotic, socially so, and the people. The African people tried to. They had already claimed ownership of the church as they had of the. The land was never given to them.
They took it over.
But they claimed it. That's what they owned. And I think that part of Virgin Islands people that a lot of the young people and even the older ones don't seem to appreciate about themselves is this zeal, this earnestness for ownership of land. We see a lot of that operating up at Kingstown.
The knowledge of the importance of ownership.
Exactly.
Yes.
And where it was denied them because there were a lot of conditions in them keeping that land. They could not sell that land. They could not lease that land. They could not. When taxes started to increase, there's one particular African who led a protest when taxes were being imposed, and he said, are these taxes going to make us free? If these taxes can't make us free enough to own our land, send us back to Africa.
Yeah. Now, I'm looking at it, and I had Dr. Angel Smith here last week, and we were talking, and Teacher Jenny the week before, talking about the values, and then looking at it now and putting all of this together, this sort of like trilogy of cultural and historic information on Spotlight. I'm looking at it and seeing the retention of African culture in the BVI, in those values. You just spoke of the understanding of the value of land and all other values and traditions that we had that came from that the retention of that culture. And I'm wondering how much influence on that retention did liberated Africans who never experienced the plantation era had on the Virgin Islands.
Oh, it's possible, although people think they might have moved. One of the things that motivated me to write, to explore into this first, is because I wondered, well, what happened to this village? If it was such a thriving village, where is it now?
Yes.
That was one of the things. And where are the people?
Where are the descendants?
Where are they?
Yeah.
But I know towards the end of, around the end of the 19th century, beginning of the 20th century, there was mass migration to St. Thomas and other places because they weren't getting the support. The British had made this strong claim that this was the Kingstown, named after King George IV, and less than 2 decades later they had withdrawn their support. The colonists here, the government here
They had to go further afield to look.
Yes, they had to find a way to survive with dignity and integrity.
Falling on the territory club.
Oh,
but I mean, it's great that we're gonna have to come back. We have to have you back to talk about so much more in the book that we could talk about, and I'm really glad to have you. And I want to say, well done job, and the information is just fantastic. I find it to be really a clarifier of what the culture of the BVI and our Africanness and helping us to embrace that Africanness and to dispel all the lies that we've been told by European historians.
And if there's anything I could reiterate, is the value of self-determination, defining yourself, the value of
and I was just talking about our government inviting investors and what our participation and our ownership of our economy is going to be, and that came out of that tradition, that African tradition of self-determination.
Yeah, and land ownership.
And land ownership as being necessary for self-determination.
And we see that story playing out well in this
in the book. Launching coming up on Sunday the 24th, 3 p.m. at the Learning Resource Center, Laverty South Community College. Make sure that you're there. Make sure you get a copy of Candy Stone's talk. They certainly have been talking. Dr. Patricia Turnbull has made the Stones talk. Thanks again
and
for being my guest.
Thanks for having me.
It's my pleasure's all mine. Next week, along with Sean Rose Stories Making Headlines, Spotlight will focus on the issue of locking up men for not paying child support. We'll also conclude African Descendants History Month with a discussion on the recapturing of our culture and how that culture fueled our entrepreneurial spirit. Be sure that you're here. Don't miss it. Thank you very much for watching. Continue to email me at jtvspotlight@yahoo.com. Spotlight is rebroadcast at 2:30 every Sunday afternoon right here on JTV channel 55, and you can view Spotlight on demand on the internet at jtvlive.net. Edjuenko reminding you that when the spotlight is on, you see the facts. Peace and blessings.
This program is sponsored by the law firm of J.S. Archibald & Co. and by the trust company J.S. Archibald Trust Services Limited, both of Roadtown, Tortola, BVI.